Welcome to another edition of All Things Quarantine, an informational broadcast about how to squeeze the most out of your life in times like this. It's day whatever of the quarantine, and by now you're probably knee-deep in bread making. But I have a feeling that there are still a few of you out there, you holdouts, and I know who you are. You are still wasting valuable real estate in your freezer on frozen bread. You should be stuffing it with meat and ice cream and whatnot, things you can't really make from scratch really easily. Squeeze the most out of your restless kids, and this is a great opportunity to turn them into in-house bread machines. That internet recipe you keep seeing over and over about no-knead dough, no-knead bread, it's legit. It's so simple. It's so easy that today I'm gonna make the dough wearing this bathrobe, not really getting my hands dirty, and just doing it quickly in a matter of minutes. And if you don't believe me, just watch me try. Now, I forgot to go over some of the optional equipment you may need, including a bathrobe, or what I also like to call an upright blanket. Maybe there is a pair of leggings that should never see the light of day that you'd like to crawl into. The silicone spatula. If you don't have one of these, or actually lots of these, you are missing out. I love silicone spatulas. Let's go over the 4 simple ingredients you need to make this super easy bread. Flour, 3 cups. I like to pack in my cups. It's kind of a long story, but basically I'm gonna make it up and balance it out with water at the end. So it's okay to pack it in. Usually don't do that. Usually weigh your ingredients. We don't have time to get a scale out. Actually, I just don't really want to. Yeast. Of course you need yeast to make bread, but you only need 1/4 teaspoon of instant yeast in this recipe. This yeast is smaller than regular yeast, and it doesn't need to be proofed. It doesn't need to be dissolved in water. It is basically yeast for dummies. Not that I'm calling you a dummy, because I love this stuff, and I don't really think I'm a dummy most of the time. Salt, or we also like to call flavor. And I just use this Morton iodized salt because this is what we grew up with. This is what we had around the house. Nobody wanted a goiter back then, but you can use kosher salt too. You're just gonna have to increase the amount you use if it's kosher salt. After that, water. Just plain water, lukewarm, room temp is great. Just not too hot, not too cold. You don't want to kill your yeast or put it to sleep. Depending on your conditions, you know how humid it is outside, how warm it is, your water amount might be a little bit higher, a little bit less, but we'll go over that. Imagine if your hands were like this and could do things without anything sticking to them, and then they were heat resistant too. Basically, if you had superhero mutant hands, well, you don't need to have those because you can buy them. That's what I'm going to use today to keep my hands clean when I'm making the dough. On your mark, get set, go! 3 cups of flour. I didn't sift it or anything. Maybe you could if you were bored, but I hate sifting. 1/4 teaspoon of yeast, instant yeast, remember, yeast for dummies, not like you, but you know. 1 1/4 teaspoon of salt. No goiter for you. Kind of gently fold it. Now, 1 1/2 cups of water, give or take. Now, I'm just gonna kind of drizzle it in gradually. This is the slowest part because I'm doing it gradually. You could probably do it all at once too. I'm gonna stop for a moment. Let me focus. You want that water to get absorbed by the flour, and then add a little more. We're basically gonna do this until that flour won't take up any more water. And the other thing I'm doing here, hopefully you can see it, is So I'm scraping down the top of the bowl now, and that's because later on it's going to be so much easier to clean up. See, it doesn't have to be goopy. Your hands, they don't have to be goopy. Don't get me wrong, I love working with dough, but if I don't have to get all goopy, you know, if the recipe's not designed to, I've got plenty of other things to do. You can see the bottom of my bowl here has a little bit of flour. I could add more water, but I'm not going to because as a beginner, I would suggest keeping it on the dry, shaggy side. You're like, that doesn't look like dough. It is dough. It's all gonna even out on its own over time. That's it. It's so ugly, I know, but I'm pretty much done. And then, you know, this is where the recipes will say cover with saran wrap. Well, I'm not gonna waste a perfectly giant piece of saran wrap on a little bit of rising dough. No, I like to use a bag. Use this over and over. Cover it, keep it in a warm spot for 12 to 18 hours. That's the only little tricky thing about this dough is it does all its work on its own, but it does need time. Let it just proof overnight. It's the easiest. If you want to make it for lunch the next day, start the dough around, you know, late afternoon. If you want to have it for dinner the next day, just do it before bed. That's why I'm wearing a bathrobe. I often do this like right before bed, and you know, I'll be like, oh, I should brush my teeth and make some dough, and both take almost no time. You might be wondering, why did I leave my silicone spatula in here? Because I'm just gonna pick up and use it again. So why go wash it, why whatever, right? I'm just gonna leave it in there, no harm done. Look at this. No goopy hands. Bathrobe. It can be done. You better be trying this. No more excuses. Good morning. It's now 12 hours later. I made the dough at 6 p.m. last night, so it would be ready for today's Mother's Day breakfast, and I'm kind of aiming for 9 a.m. for it to be done. So we're now ready for the next step, the punch down. I'm gonna use my trusty spatula here, and I'm just, you see how that stickiness just kind of, it just like wants to get with the dough, and you can kind of pretty much clean your spatula like that. See, it's almost gone, but just to be on the safe side, sorry for the camera shake, that's what happens when you shake a flour shaker. Now I'm just going to start folding down from the sides. You see, it's coming away nicely from the bowl because we did a good job of scraping yesterday. And yeah, knocking all the air out. And it was nice and bubbly. It was a good 12-hour rise, which is a little on the short side of what I usually do, but it was more than sufficient. You can see you got a lot of air. If your dough looks the same as it did the day before, that means your yeast is dead. So I wouldn't, you can bake it. I mean, it is a pandemic. You can bake it, you can eat it, but it's not going to rise like bread. So I'm just folding it over on itself. I have a little bit more energy now. I'm just going to show you, like, punching, right, is literally just punching. I mean, that's fun too. If you're a kid, you probably want to do that. But if you're a groggy adult, you might just do this. There you go. Give it a nice little satisfying pat, and that's it. Our trusty silicone spatula has done its duty, so I'm just going to use it a little bit longer, but then I will actually use my hands now. But as you can see, this dough is no longer super shaggy, goopy. It's just slightly sticky. So with that, thank you for your service. We will meet again very soon, someday, tomorrow, tonight, who knows. But you were great. You were awesome. You are so important in my life. Okay, that's enough. So, the way you shape a dough, and I think the easiest way to do it is kind of still in the bowl, is you just want to get enough flour in here. I'm being liberal. So that it's coming off the sides and it's no longer trying to keep sticking to the sides. You're pulling from out to in out in. Oh yeah, it's getting nice and loafy shaped. I mean round. Like I said, it's early. I should have at least had that cup of coffee, but then I'd have to make that cup of coffee. So this is going to be the toughest part for you, moistness, just because it makes it hard to handle, but it will get there. That's why in the beginning I asked you, keep it a little bit on the drier side, like just until all the flour is absorbed when we're doing the mix. Okay, look at that. It's no longer sticking to the side of the bowl. That's nice. Okay, so there you have it. I'm going to show you, if you're at home and you don't have any special equipment, and the special equipment I'm talking about is this. This is a bread shaping bowl made of rattan or wicker. I don't know what it is, but it's very light. It's like a cane of some sort. And what you do is you read the instructions it comes with, which is to prime it liberally with flour the day before you use it. The reason I really like this bowl is it just kind of wicks away extra moisture, which makes your dough ball not super sticky, easy to turn out into the pan when you need to bake it. So if you're making bread on a daily basis or every other day or just quite often, this is super handy to have. But if you don't have that, there is the trusty kitchen towel. You take your flour shaker or your flour hands or whatever, and you impregnate this dishcloth with flour. I mean, so that the fibers are just full of flour, just through and through. Okay, so you take your little bread ball here, and it's now actually still sticky up the sides. I'm gonna powder its bum and drop it down in here. You can see it still wants to hold on to me. It's a very clingy, doesn't want to leave its mommy. Really reshake onto the top so you have a nice, okay, see that's like Teflon there. And then you would just lightly, gently fold it over like this, like a little bread baby. See that little bread baby's package? It's like if there was a bread stork, it would use something like this and bring you a bread baby. And then I just leave it in the bowl because it's all full of flour and you're gonna have to wash it. And then no more plastic. You want it to kind of breathe. Show you how we would do pretty much the same thing in this basket. Okay, bread baby. Oh, it just feels so nice. It really does. It's very like, ooh, satisfying. It's soft, it's pillowy. It's got a nice powdery bum. Okay, put that in there. So quiet. Okay. I'm just gonna cover it loosely like this. You're gonna let it rest for 2 hours, but at an hour and a half, you're gonna wanna turn on your oven at 450 because you're gonna stick your cast iron or whatever baking vessel you're using and get it hot. So at hour and a half, turn on the oven, put the cast iron in, so by the time you're ready to bake at 2 hours, it's piping hot, scalding, ready to sizzle, and then that's when you're gonna put your dough in. So I'll see you in 2 hours. Wait, 2 hours, gotta get some coffee. The oven's been preheating at 450 for 30 minutes, along with the hot Dutch oven that was inside. It's nice and sizzly. I've got my bread dough here in the little basket, so I'm just going to turn it out. Make sure you use really good protection. This is super hot. So this is what it looks like. Nice and jiggly, quite risen. And I will just lightly push that out. Okay, there we go. Don't forget to put your gloves back on. It's really hot. You can see that bowl left nice marks on it. I'm gonna take a lid. You need the lid because the moisture in the dough is gonna create steam, and that's what's going to make your bread rise. So, stick it back in. Set your timer for 30 minutes and then we'll take the lid off. All right, it's been 30 minutes baked on with the lid. I am gonna open this oven, take the lid off, and while I do that, I'm gonna give the oven a little spritz because this water will create steam, which creates beautiful color and a nice crispy crust. All right, it's been about 15-20 minutes since we last were together, and I'm ready to take the bread out of the oven. Let's take a look. Okay, there we go. Look at that color. And you can see these nice, beautiful marks on the bread that came from that shaping bowl. Put that down, and I really cannot overemphasize how important it is to use really thick gloves. A lot of people use kitchen towels, and that's great if you're really used to it, but there's just almost nothing hotter than this pot right now. But I am going to just see how nicely it just came out. I didn't grease this pan or anything, it's just a hot bake, and you can see the bottom has a beautiful golden brown. Good sound there. Look at it, it's just, it really is perfect. And then, if you listen carefully, it'll start to talk to you. Snap, crackle, pop. Can you hear that? Can you hear that sound? All right, I'll stop staring at my bread. I've still got one glove on because it's hot. The surface is hot. And the next thing I want to talk about really quickly is the importance of a really good bread knife. So, can you hear that crust? So crispy, but easy to cut through because it's soft on the inside. If you don't have a good bread knife, you're gonna really be struggling. You want a nice, long serrated edge, and it'll do all the work for you. If your knife isn't sharp, it's going to just cause that bread to squish down. And there we have it. Look at that bread. Look at that steam coming off of it. So wonderful. All right. Now this is how I cut bread into slices. Now I've got a nice flat side. It's just shattering. Look at that crust. Well, someone will have to sweep later. Probably me. Put this glove down. It smells yeasty. Perfect bread. So there you have it. You're not gonna be disappointed. Really easy. Keep your hands clean. Barely have to touch this. You can have fresh bread any day of the week. Take care.